I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your attack!
How long did you race it? 100 fucking years, you stupid fuck. Where?
Come here, you little Hey! Hey, come here! Come here, you
Madsen is howling on James McFadden.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 4 of the Work Area podcast. Today, we're going to be breaking down all things that happened at the King of Wings and also the Fast Friday event that happened on the weekend at the Perth Motorplex. Today, joining me again, co-host from episode 2, Chad Armstrong. Chad, how are we?
Good, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me back.
No, all good, mate, all good. I'm smirking, mate. I love that intro. I'm going to slowly tweak it and make it a little bit better. Yeah, how's the man? What is he up to there?
Oh, I still remember when that happened, and yeah, I still think it's the funniest thing in Australian speedway, and obviously they had a big rivalry after that as well, which has been good.
Does that still go on? Do you know that rivalry?
I'd say it would do. Like, yeah, I remember when Madsen was at KMS, James got him good there at Warrnambool to win Speed Week, I'm pretty sure, which, you know, he's just stolen 10 grand from him by using him up a little bit. So, yeah, I dare say they wouldn't be the best of friends.
It doesn't sound like Madsen would have many friends. He's a wild man. But, yeah, that's a very, very, very funny clip if you want to jump on YouTube and have a look. So, yeah, mate, let's jump straight into it, mate. It's an awesome weekend of racing. Just another showcase from the Motorplex, mate. 2 nights of racing. They got the Fast Friday in, so a heap of people get to run that night, and then followed up by the King of Wings. Awesome track, awesome event, really good racing across all classes. Just another epic showcase for Gavin Migro and the Motorplex team. Yeah,
as always, the Motorplex got on a good show, and I actually wasn't there this weekend, but I was down in Margaret River with a few mates, and yeah, we're lucky to be able to watch it on pay-per-view, and probably the first time in a while that I've actually just got to sit back and talk shit with some mates and watch some speedway.
Yeah, like I spoke about with Brody Moller in a previous episode there, sprint cars are pretty cool when you can sit there and watch them, hey, but sometimes when you're actually at the track, you can get so caught up with what's going on, you don't ever get to sit down and actually enjoy it. So, no, you treated yourself down to a weekend. Shout out to Sharpie. It was his 30th birthday, is that correct?
Yeah, we headed down there to celebrate the great man's 30th.
Mate, and I hear that it might be the winds of change are coming. He might be having a little bit of a dance in a different class.
Yeah, so I think their plan is to head into the speed cars in the not too long future.
No, that'd be sick. I'm actually really looking forward to it. It'd be good to see. I love when you can see a clear progression of some of the people moving through the classes, starting in a entry-based class like the wingless and stuff like that. We're going to speak about a few drivers later on who have made that transition and moved on to other classes and drove really, really well across the weekend. But first of all, mate, I just want to touch base with this race that a lot of RWA-based guys are heading over to, the Napa 500 sprint car race in Adelaide there. Plenty of stuff going on social media and stuff like that. A heap of hype. I'm actually looking forward to it. There's a little bit annoying some of the naysayers for me getting on with it. They're already bagging it before it's done, but the track looks cool. It's going to be a heap of people there that they're going to sort of segue in off the V8 supercars crowd, and everyone's there for the V8 supercars across the lead. There's supercross on the same time, so hopefully they get a big crowd, and no doubt those front runners, they'll put on a showcase for the sport. Like, you know, you got the who's who of Australian sprint cars are going to be there. So no matter what the track's like, you know, those boys are going to race. So it's you know, you put them in a parking lot and they're going to be going for it. So I think it's going to be an epic race. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, again, it's not about putting on speedway racing to the speedway fans. It's to sort of open it up to the wider variety. You know, you never know what could happen, but you're going to get a new bunch of fans. You know, you're going to be in front of a new bunch of sponsors, companies, all kind of things. So it's just about trying to put sprint car racing, which, you know, we know it's the greatest motorsport there is, but it's to open it up to the people that don't really give it the time because they don't know enough about it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's probably not for us, is it? The event itself is going to be put on not for us because they already have us as fans. So what they're trying to do is expand the boundaries of the sport and trying to get a new audience base and more fans and stuff like that. So yeah, probably it's not going to be perfect. And if you thought that they're going to go to a park in the middle of Adelaide and have a perfect race, that's your fault. It's not the promoters or the concept. It is what it is. We got another sprint car race. We got fellas out there who have the opportunity to race for, was it 50, 60 grand or something to win? Like these are all bonuses, and this is all a positive for the sport. Yeah, that it's not ideal, but I think let's judge it after the race as opposed to prior to the race.
Yeah, I think the cool thing as well is obviously you've got Murray Bridge that's 45 to an hour up the road, and you're going to have a lot of Adelaide people in Adelaide watching it. So, then the week after that, now that they know about Speedway, they're probably going to head up and maybe watch. Murray Bridge has got some big shows this year with the sprint car title and speed car title as well. So I feel once Adelaide lost Speedway City, there's a lot of good speedways in Adelaide that are outside of Adelaide, but there's nothing really in Adelaide anymore. So yeah, once they pretty much puts Adelaide, like Speedway, back in Adelaide.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. I'm stoked for it. I think it's going to be awesome. I was actually meant to go to it. I had booked an Airbnb the day it was released, like within 20 minutes of it being released. I'd booked accommodation on Airbnb because the Supercross was there. So me and some boys were going to head over and watch. And obviously the people who own the Airbnb didn't know about it. And it went from $350 a night. They've cancelled me due to a family emergency 3 months later somehow. And then they re-advertised the joint for $1,100 a night. So stuff them. I'm heading to Albany anyway. So who cares? But I just want to touch base a little bit with just to support the WA teams that are going to be heading over there. We got obviously Dayne Kingshott with the Cricky Motorsports. That they are heading over there. Obviously, I'm really excited to see what they can do. Him and Callum Williamson, I think, obviously are going to have a huge showing. But yeah, just Dayne first. Like he obviously is 2 from 2 now in the last 2 events at the Motorplex. He's flying. His racecraft is phenomenal. Like some of the moves that he did in the heat race again. He's just seeing gaps before they even appear, and he just heads for them, and then suddenly the seas part and he goes through. He'll be amazing. Matty Cochran will have that thing sorted out for him, no doubt. They always seem to be right on the money right from the get-go. So I think that Cricky Motorsports team, they'll be really, really competitive right from the outset, along with our man Balls Moller, who came in here the other week. He'll have that car with Callum Williamson. Those guys are racers through and through as well, and I'll speak about it later a little bit, but the level that Callum and Dayne seem to have gone to this year is just phenomenal. It's going to be awesome to see how that stacks up against the rest of Australia, and I can't see how it doesn't stack up extremely competitively.
Yeah, I think, with a team like KMS and Williamson's, they're top end here in Perth, and I feel like the racing's so good in Perth here that it's going to be on par with the rest of the country. I think really there's only going to be got Jock Goodyear, Matt Eagle, sort of those guys that I feel like as much as it's not going to be the track is going to have its difficulties. I don't think it's going to be a super racy track, but it's not about that. But it's kind of like brings the best of each state together to race at the same track at the same time, which I think, in a nutshell, your classics and your Aussie titles and all that are for.
Yeah, I loved it when they released the field. It was almost like a state of origin. It was like WA teams, South Australian teams. Yeah, that was awesome. But we also got heading over there the Trevor Jolly racing team. Not sure what's happened there, but Caden Manders has jumped into the seat. Daniel Harding obviously can't make it, so next man up, Caden Manders. Shout out Trevor Jolly. The bloke is that good for the sport. Like it could have been easier to pack it up and say, let's not go, our driver's not going. But Trevor, through the things that I've seen him do, I don't know him personally or anything, but the things I've seen him do for the sport, and he's almost like the sport first. He's throwing anyone in the car when it needs to be. He got Tom Payette in the car last year, and then Daniel Harding misses. It would have been financially a better decision, all that sort of stuff, just to miss. But he calls up one of his competition, week in, week out, Manders and Harding race hard week in, week out, but he picks up the phone, he gets another driver in, gives a kid like Caden Manders, who's can wheel a car around, the opportunity to go over there, make a name for himself, but also gives him the opportunity to make some actual coins. So, yeah, shout out Trevor, Jolly Racing, him and the crew, obviously, they'll be on the road. They're getting over there. And then the last one, I think Diamond Bay Motorsports with the James Inglis entry, obviously, they pulled out due to other reasons. And the last vehicle heading over there is Jason Pride with the JPM Motorsports. Jason missed out, eh? He was racing over, was he racing his Trans Am?
Yeah, Bathurst, yeah. So I think I'm pretty sure Cody went over early. I don't know if they dropped the car in Adelaide or what they did, but yeah, he was in. So then, yeah, they'll get Adelaide on the way home.
Mate, not a bad couple of weeks, hey? Bathurst racing one weekend and then Adelaide 500 the next. Like, yeah, Cody Lawrence, he's touched base with me a little bit. He helped me out in the off-season when I grabbed some parts from him and just with information and stuff like that. Like, he didn't know me, but he's obviously a really good bloke, knows his stuff. So hopefully him and Pridey can have a really good run and get that big JPM 14 up and about before they get back over here and rectify a few of their issues that they've had early. Like, they're too good of a team to be floating back where they were. Like, obviously they'll bounce back and hopefully that starts this weekend at the Napa 500.
Yeah, definitely.
Who do you reckon wins? I've got a top 5 here that I've done. In no order, my top 5 would be J-Mac, Eagle, Goodger, Kingshott and Williamson. I think that's all. I think it'll go Goodger, McFadden, Kingshott, Williamson, Eagle. That's my top 5.
Again, they're all probably the best 5 in the country. But I'm probably going to go. I reckon Michael Pickens. I don't know if he's still racing it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He was on the list. I know, like T-Maz, Thomas Mesrall.
But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Pickens because obviously, you know, the track's not massive and it's flat, which it's a little bit like a Western Spring. So I feel like he'll be right at home.
Yeah, he can drive. Hey, he has awesome drives all the time. The bloke is flying around everywhere and be extremely difficult jumping in a new car nearly every second week and then being extremely competitive. Like, he must be able to wheel that thing around. Do you know who's he's driving for?
Brody Tulloch, I think. I'm not 100%
Queensland
sure.
Team, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, that's yeah, good. But again, I've spoken about it prior, but if this was like World Series, throw a couple of other teams in there, like, you'd just be salivating and thought about all these boys going head to head every single weekend at a different racetrack. It'd just be amazing to watch. Moving on to on the weekend, Fast Friday, the Perth Motorplex concept that they do. They run on a Friday night, give a number of different divisions an opportunity to run the Motorplex, which is another little awesome initiative that they had, headlined by the Limiteds, mate. Did you get to see any of the Fast Friday, or are you boys busy?
No, we were watching. As much to some people's discussed down in Margaret River, we got 2 nights of racing in.
Oh, beautiful, mate. Yeah, so start with the Limiteds. Just a cracking show, won by Michael Keane. He was moving. Him and Joel Ettridge on the Friday night had a really good battle. Ettridge kept on getting a few runs on him, and then just looked like the track wasn't quite there to pass. It was right on the top, and Ettridge threw a few sliders on him, and as he did, he just lost his momentum. Then he crept back up, and in the end, I reckon he probably just blitzed a bit of his tyres away, and Keane won that one. Daniel Keane, in his first race back for the season, was seriously competitive. He moved up. He looked real fast. He was coming up on them as well, but I'm not sure what happened towards the end. Maybe the track just got away from him a little bit, but yeah, he ended up third. Really good battle between those boys in the start, but Ettridge and Michael Keane obviously got away towards the end. Yeah, I was watching that one, and you could hear them as they were coming into turn 1. Like, they weren't just full noise. Even in the Limiteds, you could hear them like working the engine. They were backing off, and then once they get through the corner, then they stomp back on it. Like, watching it from the infield there, you could see how much they had to manipulate and feather the throttle to get through the corner. It was really interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think, and obviously it just shows that those guys are probably the front end of the limo field last year that have now got concentration on 410s this year. So I think they might have doubled. I think they ran Saturday night as well.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
But yeah, obviously I think it was Friday night was more of just a run for them to get some laps in the limo before they race Saturday night.
Yeah, Chad Pittard was there as well. It was epic. Shout out Chad Pittard. He put his big trailer next to us and had the lights on, so we had lights on all night. I was stoked. just get through these results here. Street stocks, really good race. Michael Clark had it won. He was well out in front, but he when I spoke to him, he said he had some gearbox or clutch issues or something. He wasn't quite sure at the time, but he was 5-6 seconds out in front. Cars started limping home. He got swallowed up by Ben Ferris. So Ben Ferris took out the street stocks. Michael Clark second, and John Teriyaki. I'm not sure how you present the last name there, but yeah, he's in third. Good little race, mate. Good for the street stocks to be able to get out there and have a run on the Motorplex.
Yeah, and they've got their state title there later in the year, so most of them would just be trying to get some laps and get some data on that event later in, I think it's in April. Yeah,
that'll be wild. My man, Jake Hoth, the Derby man, he'll be coming down there looking to defend, I reckon. He's a good lad. He's very quiet, but he can definitely drive a car, so hopefully he goes right for that. Formula 500s, Brendan Marshman, Logan Dean, Ryan Higgs, quite spread out. Marshman blitzed him 6 seconds out in front. He drove really well all night, and just a good solid race there. You can see by the names in there, it's all relatively newcomers, people just out there having a feel for the track. So more track time, more laps, so good for them.
Yeah, that's again, it's just similar to the wingless. It gives those guys a chance to win that aren't winning on a Saturday night. Ryan Higgs, he was a front runner a few years ago. He's sort of taken a bit of time off, but it's good to see him back. He didn't race Saturday night, but to be able to podium first show back, it's pretty good.
Yeah, awesome effort, isn't it? And then the Formula 500 Juniors, is it Raf Frasina?
Yep.
Yeah, these boys are not messing around in this class, are they? There's some decent rigs coming in. There's really well presented cars, and the boys go pretty hard. So Raf has got first here. Max Lang and Todd Page is decent race. The top three were well out in front and were clearly the class of the field. But those boys, I'm assuming they're all looking for moving on up the ranks, and they've all got the equipment and the driving skill. They're out there every weekend having a rip somewhere.
Yeah, I think I'm a big fan of the junior Formula 500s. I think it's a good initiative. It's sort of, you're not in a junior category that you've got to offload your gear to get into a senior category. You just pull the restrictor plate out, and the same car you're racing in your juniors, you can race it in your seniors.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only difference between them, is this a restrictor plate.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, obviously the wingless, it's the development series. Yeah, that's just from the committee, it's just such an awesome initiative. All the inexperienced and new drivers get to get out there and have an actual crack on the track without having to worry about getting in the way of people, and you can get to race your own race, and it's really intimidating when there's proper fast dudes on the track, and that you're new, you're all over the shop, you're not holding your line properly, and the last thing you want to do is get in the way of someone, and a night like Friday night just allows people to get out there and actually drive rather than just stay out of trouble and stay out of the way. So shout out to the wingless committee. It's yourself and your brother and all the rest of the boys, mate. Just an awesome series, and yeah, another good car count, another good field, and that'll continue to go on.
Yeah, and congrats to yourself on the win. Is that your first feature win?
Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah. I was happy to get a win, but yeah, really cognizant of the fact that the top 6-7 drivers aren't there, so it good to tick a box. But yeah, just aware that it's a development series, and I'd be happier to run fifth on a Saturday night than win that. And I don't want to sound like I'm arrogant, but yeah, or anything like that. But yeah, I'd be more stoked on a fifth with all the big dogs in the field than to win that. But yeah, still stoked to stand up on a podium, have a chat with Chris Mitchell, and get my big head on TV. I gave the podcast a bit of a shout out on the Clay per view, and I actually seen a real spike in all the social media stuff. So yeah, I might have to pay the Ivanhoe boys to give me a shout out next time they're on the podium, because I'm not sure I'm getting back up there.
There's plenty more development series left, so there's no.
We'll see. Yeah, so that was we just got our backside trackside there, thanks to BKB Plumbing and Gas. Brody Black up there in Karratha really supports all the motorsport in the area, and he helps me. Obviously, he doesn't need to sponsor me down here or anything like that, but he's a real good bloke. He loves his motorsports, and he supports everyone that he can when he can. So yeah, thanks to BKB Plumbing and Gas. Now we move on. We're going to be entering the work area thanks to KRM Logistics. I need to get another sponsor for this, because that's just my little business, and yeah, any other ones want to jump on board, flick us a message, and we'll try and do a deal. But getting into Saturday night, mate, yeah, qualifying again. It's an epic feeling when all the cars get pushed out onto the tracks. They're all idling there, and I get more excited for some reason every single night now. Like, I'm not getting used to it. Stoked when I get to see it. My little man, he came with me and my nephew. They got up there, and they're buzzing. They can tell something's about to happen, and the professionalism and how good the drivers are. There's like a real sense of excitement right before everyone gets going for quick time.
Yeah, I think the qualifying stuff's good. I remember when I was, a young kid helping Rob, and that was used to be the highlight of my night. You're out in the middle, and there are cars everywhere. And once you got, the track was always muddy, so your biggest fear was not falling on your ass as you're walking out on the track. But once you're on the infield, there's so many cars, and from watching from the infield, it just gives you a whole nother sense of how fast they really are.
Yeah, I think I was lucky enough to help James Inglis a couple of times. Help's probably a pretty strong word. I probably got in the way more than I did anything else. But when you get to sit on the infield and you're watching him, they're so much more active in the car than what you think. Because when you're on the infield, you can see inside the car, whereas opposed to when you're on the outside, you're looking at the wing and that. But they're so active in the car, and there's so much going on, and it's so much faster at eye level than what you think. Excuse me. But yeah, surprise, Callum Williamson went quick time. Him and Brody just have that thing figured out. Hey, like it's amazing to see how fast that thing can get around the track. Callum is extremely confident at the moment, and he looks good. Another guy that really surprised me with it. The track was all right, but you still have to be able to drive. Was Aaron Chirkop. He was flying. I think he was second quick time overall. Josh Grizzy is the crew chief of that thing from Sprint Car Engineering. Grizzy the Wizzy, I call him. He had that car dialed in, and they were going good on both shows as well. They ran the 360 and the 410, but yeah, Aaron, he's obviously done all that driving up in Darwin. He spoke about it in one of his interviews, just that he feels like he might just be ahead of the game a little bit because he's just done so much more laps than what most other people have at this sort of season.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's no substitute for laps. The more laps you can get, that's why all the good guys are still there on a Wednesday night, trying different things, trying to get dialed in. But yeah, I have noticed even last year when Chirkup was fairly new, like he always seemed to be able to lay down a lap in quali. Like I think he just gets after it. It's got no fear. He just sort of must be the motocross.
Yeah, big motocross man, I reckon. He just leaves the brain in the pits and gets out there and just goes. But
he'd be feeling pretty safe with that roll cage, though. I don't think if he's hard up on all the bars and he's got a roll cage now, I don't think much would worry him.
Nah. So shout out to Aaron Chirkop and that team. I know they put a lot of effort in and they've invested a lot into improving. And I was a little bit of a fly on the wall throughout the night in their pits, and Aaron's getting around both cars, and he's not just leaving it to Josh. Like when I could see him speaking, he's clearly hungry to actually learn as well. So he's active in what's going on with the cars and why they're doing stuff and things like that. So his knowledge base is going to improve, and he'll get going, and he'll just, if he keeps qualifying like this, it was like we spoke about Jack Williamson, he just keeps putting himself in good positions. Eventually it'll fall his way. But yeah, he was good. Another one that stood out to me, obviously Dayne Kingshott was real quick, but the LJM cars were second and third in their group, extremely close in times. I think it was like 0.03 of a second between them. But John O'Coyle, the crew chief of there, he's got both of those cars flying at the moment.
Yeah, they've always been, and obviously the boys have done plenty of laps. Like they've been, the LJM name's been around for a while. So yeah, they're always thereabouts every night. They've got good gear, good team behind them. So.
Yeah, but they're right there every time. So two car setup, mate, just impressive that they can get them going that good. Nothing else really stood out to me in qualifying. Williamson was quick. Kingshott's obviously flying as well. But yeah, Chirkop and the two LGM cars are sort of what I noticed. Obviously, AJ Nash had a bit of an incident, so he didn't qualify. He would have been pretty filthy with that. But these things happen, and yeah, he obviously struggled from them. But the heat races, this is when I thought back on the night and the things that stood out for me. The two things that I really stood out for me were the heat races, and Callum Williamson in the first heat started fourth, and he was gone 4 seconds The racecraft, and I've not seen that much disparity in the skill level for some time. Him and Dayne Kingshott in his heat as well. Dayne won by 5 seconds. Even in the feature race, it was a lot closer to this. But in those 2 heat races, Callum Williamson was just gone. He was just levels above, and so was Dayne. They just both started from 4th, both made the lead within the first 2 laps, and both just checked out and were gone. And no one had anything for them. They were running so much higher, so much. The cars just seemed to drive around that really, really top line so much better. Everyone else sort of slid the corner, and they were driving it. They were just on another level. It was so fast.
Yeah, when the track sort of blows off like that, and there's the top line's razor thin, that's when sort of sorts of men from the boys, like those guys there, they're locked in, committed, and just that's sort of ripping the fence. Like there's probably no one that does it better than them two. So it just proves once it does get up on the fence, just sort of sorts them out.
Yeah, just in that how they got through pack, it was awesome to watch. Like their racecraft, and they just don't ever hesitate. Like it's almost like they know a gap's just going to open up. Like Dayne went from 4th, and he like slid himself through turn 1 and was into like the lead in the first corner. He was flying. Nothing else really stood out. Trent Pigden just seemed a little off. He just looked like he was fighting that car the whole night. Like he's faster than what he showed in the heat races, and I'm not sure why he didn't line up in the feature, but that's another thing I noticed. I was just like, I just feel like he's generally a little bit quicker than that, but he just looked like he was just fighting the car the whole night.
Yeah, and I think once you sort of, the competition's that tough, once you sort of miss that from sort of, if you're starting deep in the feature, you sort of, these motors are so expensive to run and costs so expensive. You don't want to be spending the money just turning laps. So once you sort of miss that, like, if your night's pretty much, if you're starting off the back row, it's probably just a smarter financial decision to put it in the trailer and try again next week.
Yeah, and just with the competition thing, during one of the heats, I was like, I don't want to disparage anyone, but you sort of, that generally in a heat race of the sprint cars, there's a newer person to the class or something like that. But I was like, oh, who's coming last? I looked, it was Taylor Milling and JD Dack, and they're 7th and 8th. And I was like, what's going on here? These two fly. And they were driving hard, but that's the level of competition. The Fast Worm and JD Dack were 7th and 8th, and they're too good to be 7th and 8th, it feels, but that's just where they were in that heat race.
Yeah, and that's back to the competition. The competition's that tough, and you might be a little bit off in qualifying, which I feel like 3 or 4 years ago you could be a little bit off and still probably be 1st or 2nd in your group. Now that it's that, everyone's equipment's better, everyone's motors are better, everyone's shocks are better. It's just, if you miss it by a little bit in qualifying, all of a sudden you're starting 8th instead of starting, well, if you qualify 4th, you start on the front row. So now your night's pretty much like you've missed the invert, and you're already pushing it uphill.
Yeah, hectic, isn't it? Like, and then one of our favourites there, Jack Williamson, his undefeated streak's over. He was 2 heat races from 2 wins, and he's obviously couldn't back up for number 3, which is fair enough. But he still drove good. I'll speak about him later, but yeah, he was really impressive. Kendrick and Manners went for it in the last heat. Those boys don't mess around for track position, do they? They fight tooth and nail for every bit, and Kendrick sort of just forced it in a little bit harder than what Manners wanted to, and he got the lead and took that one out. Put them all into the dash there. Williamson did an engine. Callum Williamson obviously heard an engine. Those boys had to change it. I was watching up from the bronze section, sort of up the top there where the pit crew watched from, and we obviously had Brodie on last week, so I was sort of trying to keep an eye on what they were up to and how it was, and pretty evident how much it means to these guys. When that engine wouldn't run for that dash, you could see he was straight onto it, like 20 metres after that car should have started. He knew something was not right, and he started pacing and he started steaming around, and I was like, so I was keeping an eye on him, and then when the big girl finally wouldn't start, the whole bronze section heard his extremely displeasure. He screamed out a rude word. My little man said he's 4 years old, so he heard the rude word. But yeah, I couldn't care about that. But it just, I actually like to see it because you could see how much it means to them and how invested they are in how well their team goes. And he wasn't stoked. He stormed off. He looked like he was steaming back to the pits, but then the Callum caught him in the car and then the mule had to stop and pick him up. But yeah, those boys straight into an engine change, got it done.
So they I think it was, don't know if they did an engine change. I think it was a mag box.
Okay.
That let go, and then I know they did do an engine change on the Sunday to go to Adelaide.
Okay.
But yeah, it just shows that, these guys put, massive hours in during the week. They wear their heart on their sleeve, like, they put everything into these cars, and when it doesn't run, it's, the first person they go on to question is the crew chief.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's there's a lot of pressure to be a crew chief. That's why the good ones are real good at it, because that's how they earn their money, because they don't have failures, or even though that was a part failure.
Yeah, when I left the truck, just as it was getting a bit hectic and everyone started watching, they had the spare engine out. They were emptying out the trailer. I thought they were going to do an engine change, but just a mag box.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just a mag.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, then the Mayola smashed them in the B-dash. Yeah, John Coyle again's got those cars going, and those boys are driving really well, both Jamie and Brad. Only a matter of time before those boys collect a checker. The feature race was an awesome race. It was an awesome race. It was 3 different tracks. I feel like the first sort of 10 to 15 laps, the track was pretty decent. Then it went real slick, and then it obviously took rubber at the end. And those boys are just so fast to find those lines, and they all changed where they were running throughout the race. They all just, their racecraft, yeah, I spoke about it earlier, and I probably keep harping on about it, but because I'm doing this podcast, I try and watch it a little bit more in depth. So I'm trying to look for stuff, and yeah, those boys, all of them, all the sort of top 5, 6, 7 cars and cars came through the pack and unfortunately didn't finish, but the track was everywhere. There was lines everywhere and they were real racy, but eventually, yeah, Kingshott took it out, come from 6th place to win. I've said earlier, I didn't think anyone could come from outside the top 5, and I was proved wrong, because Kingshott won. Williamson come from 11th for 2nd, and Chris Coyle in the Merger Motorsports, he came from 14th to 3rd. So, yeah, a lot of good driving and a lot of moves were made, but those boys were just class above in the end.
Yeah, and again, that's what's so cool about the Motorplex is the track changes so much during that 40 laps. It's effectively 2 short feature races, but you sort of got to be. That's where like Coyle and Williamson, they were probably a little bit behind cars, so they could see them move and what was working for them, what wasn't. So they can sort of. That's why sometimes it's not always best to be leading, but you can sort of see who's moving forward from what line, and you can jump on that line, or you can see the rubber come in. So yeah, I think that is the cool thing about the Motorplex. You can't just run the same line all 40 laps, and you've sort of got to be smart about it, because you're winning the race, but that the guy behind you's trying to find a faster line that eventually will come in.
Yeah, so that was other sort of things that stuck out to me. Michael Pickens was just a really, really quiet 4th. He's obviously just chipped away all night. He ends up 4th. Kendrick somehow got 5th. He got stuck in a few incidents and had a banged up car. He banged the wall. He ends up 5th. And the other sort of thing I didn't have was Wayne Russell getting a 7th on the bingo card. I didn't expect that, but he stayed out of trouble all night, just chipped away and ends up with a 7th. So he'll be stoked with that. And I think A1 Towing, is that the A1 Towing? Is it 35?
Yeah, yep, that's his business, A1 Towing.
Yeah, shout out Wayne, mate. Big 7th. You got to be stoked with that. Jack Williamson, he was up to 4th before I think he did a tyre. So he was moving, he was flying. And then my last little note here was JD Dak. I might call him the early bird because he got the worm in the end. Run out of fuel there and he burnt the worm. He's jump on to Instagram there, Fast Worm, funny little clip. He got out of trouble a few times, Taylor Milling, snuck through a few little gaps, but eventually his luck ran out, and I think JD Dak ran out of fuel in front of him and he's just collected him. So, yeah, only 7 finishes in the feature race, but it was an awesome race out front.
Yeah, and that's what you come to. Obviously, the car owners probably don't think so, because there was a lot of carnage, but yeah, it was definitely a race of nutrition.
Yeah, there's a few few incidents there that didn't need to happen, and I don't want to call anyone out or anything like that, but yeah, maybe a few fast Fridays for some people to get a few more laps, and hopefully some people can finish some races in the end. But yeah, that the other class that was really impressive was the 360s for me. So all night they actually had really good racing all night. Like the boys there were flying. Chirkop won 2 heats in his 360. Those heat races were awesome to watch. But in the feature race, Daniel Hardigan, one of the wingless warriors, mate, he's moved up the class. He takes out the feature race win. Dan Golding in second, really awesome race, and then Mr. Warren in third. So he moved up all night. Actually, he was pretty racing in one of the heats, and then I'm not sure what happened because he just started going backwards. But in one of the heats, he was really fast.
Yeah, Jeremy Warren, he's been around for a little bit. He's always quick on the bottom. I think there was a feature race last year that he sort of come on late and just ran the bottom, and once the top does blow away, it's sort of a lot harder to be fast up there. There's a lot easier to make mistakes. So, yeah, I think the 360s are in good steads. They're sort of growing a little bit, but it's sort of a little like, last year they probably had more numbers, but a lot of them were 360s, 14 guys running 360s, where this year it's just all dedicated, other than Chirkop, but all of them are just dedicated 360 guys.
Yeah, but it's Chirkop's new to it as well, so that's awesome. But Hardigan was just a class above. One of the guys, Dan Golding, he must obviously be classed as a rookie to the class, so he had to start off the rear. Man, he was fast. He was moving. Is Liam Spicchia, is that how you say his name? Is that his crew chief?
Yeah.
Mate, that car was phenomenal all night. He moved through, I think he came second in his heats as well. Yeah, he was diving through. There's obviously more of an entry-level type driver in some of the 360s, and they don't sort of hold their line, but Dan was flying through the pack in some of those heat races.
Yeah, and Dan's done a lot of laps as well, so he's a guy that's, even though he was classed as a rookie, he's done a fair few laps around the Motorplex, and probably from racing a speed car to go into a sprint car, he probably thinks it's a big lounge chair because it turns where he wants to turn. And
yeah, he was really impressive. He was there on Friday night as well, giving it the berries, just trying to get some more laps in, but. Yeah, so Harding was awesome though. A wingless bloke, moved up. He's obviously left the country for a little bit, but he's back. Seeing that he had the family on the tools that night, so awesome for them. A smaller sort of team to get in there and get a car going and take out a feature race win, go on top of the second place that he had at Pathara last weekend.
Yeah, and he's only got the 525, the crate motor, like we spoke about in the Kenny Mack video. Which another one was Mikey Green. He was.
In that all black car?
Yeah, he was. I think that's his second night in that car. Yeah, he was. I think he was. Yeah, probably going to win it until he blew the header off it. Which, yeah, it was funny to see the whole like header and muffler and everything just laying in the middle of the track.
Yeah, no good. But and then yeah, just with that, I just want to reiterate. Yeah, Chirkop, those heats, Josh Agrizzi again. The car's obviously good, and yeah. Chirkop will obviously just need those laps at the end of the night when that feature race is, gets that little bit slicker. Once he gets more track times, he'll always be in good position because he drives so good early in the night. And once he figure out it's the end of the night, he'll be all over it.
Yeah, definitely.
The Formula 500s, a bit of a surprise for me. Shane Anderson took out the win.
Yeah, Ando, he's another one that's, I think it was 16 years was his last feature race win there, or
yeah, right.
Might have been 8 years or something, a long time. But he's another guy that's been around Formula 500s for a long time. His dad is probably one of the greatest Formula 500 racers, won a heap of Aussie titles and state titles, and
yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's cool to see him get a win.
Yeah, he was moving forward in one of his heat races as well, like, and because I'm not that familiar with him, and obviously like Stephen Ellerman and the Tarantula were in his field, and he was moving forward, and I was like, oh, this bloke's driving really well. So yeah, he's obviously sacked up and collected the checkers there in the Formula 500. Stephen Ellerman, no surprise, he's in second. He's almost got a letterbox on that podium, mate. He's up there all the time, and then friend of the show, Cody the Tarantula Taraccio there in third place.
Yeah, definitely I think the cool thing with the formulas is definitely in the heat races where, they have because they don't have split heats, it's all just, I think they've got sort of 14 or 15.
Yeah, it was huge.
So the racing through the whole field is there's races going on everywhere, and you got like the quick guys coming from the back, and then you got the slow guys off the front that'll slowly drift through the pack, but not that they want to, but they'll get in the way of one guy, and he'll get passed by another quick guy coming from the back, and it sort of puts on exciting racing.
Yeah, they're the best heat races that I've seen from Formula 500s this year, or probably ever. Not that I'm watching every single race they have, but it was really good racing. There was a couple of different lines. They were really attacking. They were making moves on each other, multiple passes for the lead. The Formula 500s, that was an epic little show for them, and no doubt they'll be stoked for that. But here we're moving into the last segment. I don't have a freshie, so beat off Matty Beaton from Cannabis Botanical Distillery. We're moving into to their segment, so I'll just play the little ad. The Cannabis Botanical Distillery, raise your glass. Cannabis Botanical Distillery, who pride themselves on being innovators in distilling the best of nature and bottling it for your enjoyment. Find them at cannabisbotanical.com.au on Instagram and on Facebook. Yeah, so you might have noticed we haven't spoken about the limiteds, but we're going to cover it now. So this week, my Cannabis Botanical Distillery is a raise your glass for a young kid, Bailey Nash, in the limited sprint cars. Had an awesome night. Obviously, I've kept an eye on him, and yeah, obviously it comes from a decent family. Him and his brother Cody go really well. They both seem like really good blokes. But Bailey come out there. They've obviously had some troubles. So shout out to Ian Watts. Obviously, yeah, put Bailey in the car initially and give the young kid a chance. But they've obviously, with the issues, Ian Watts has put a new engine in that thing this week, and they've obviously had a mountain of work to get done. And Bailey's won the first heat race, and I really like to see the emotion that he's truly appreciative of the effort that Ian Watts and the rest of the crew's family, his dad, and he obviously dad was injured or something like that, so Cody's helped out, and to see how stoked he was to win the heat race and how appreciative he was of all the effort that other people go to so he can get out on the track. Yeah, awesome. And then he's turned that heat race win into a second in the feature. Yeah, some really, really good guys in the feature race. Obviously, Michael Keane took it out for the 5th time in a row. He's in my next little segment. But, yeah, raise a glass. Well done, Bailey Nash. Mate, is he old enough to drink? How old is he?
Yeah, I'd say he'd be 18, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So if you can have a drink, mate, get yourself down to the bottle shop, buy a Cannabis Botanical Distillery dark rum or ginger beer or whatever you like. It's all good. So, yeah, stoked for him and happy to see that a young kid understands the effort that a lot of other people go to let him race, and then he's obviously showed that all the effort was worth it, because he's taken out the heat and then come second in the feature, which is no easy feat. Who have you got?
For my raise your glass, I've got Shane Ando for obviously I dare say he would have raised a glass after the feature race and partied on until early hours, but yeah, to not race for so long and come back with a feature win, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Is that his first race back?
I think he did a few last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so still, that's not enough. Like, that's epic effort.
Yeah, he's not a consistent, like, he's not a guy that races there every week. I think he sort of runs his own businesses and pretty busy, so it's whenever he can find the time.
And he didn't fluke it, because like I said, in the heat races, he was moving.
Yeah, and I think he might have started second or third. Like, I know he definitely was. I think Cody was on the pole.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he hasn't. It's not like he's just started on the front and ran away with it. He sort of, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's our two. We got Bailey Nash and is it Steve Anderson? Sorry, Shane Anderson. Shane Anderson in the 90, the Formula 500. Yeah, both awesome efforts. And then moving into our next little segment here, we got Reese Jones from Westberg Marine, best fishing boats, all sorts of boats, dinghies, whatever you want down there in Albany. Get yourself down there, mention the podcast, and I think it's up to about 65% off all new boats if you mention the podcast. This is the Westberg Marine Pump Up. Who needs a bit of air in their tyres? Westberg Marine, built in-house and built to last. For over 50 years, Westberg Marine have built premium quality vessels on time, on budget, and to specification. Thanks to their rigorous quality control and communication process, you'll stay informed every step of the way. So this week, my pump up goes to a bloke that probably needs it. He's Andrew Piolo in the big number AP8. Mate, the bloke has had just rotten luck. This weekend, he was on the charge, real fast. He was on the low line. He was really aggressive, making a lot of moves, and he was sort of sliding from the inside right to the top when he was making passes. And when he did that, he looked so fast. That car was really, really fast that night, and he was moving right up towards the pointy end of the field. And for the second time in a row, he's just got sort of caught up in someone else's stuff and ended up, having to pull out with another car. And AJ Nash has collected him on the way through. And he wasn't too stoked in the interview, but I'm sure, he'll review it, and he probably just would have been filthy that he's done another car. But that's probably 50 grand damage in 2 nights, I reckon, at least. And he needs a bit of a pump up. The results are going to come. He always just seems to be caught up in this stuff that doesn't seem to be his fault. But no doubt, what I liked about it is that no doubt the team, they're all invested. No doubt they would have been pissed off and angry at everything. But what they put out is how positive it is. All right, whatever, that's done. We're going back to the workshop. We're going to rebuild, and we'll see you in Bunbury. So I like that. There's no sook in there. There's no real blame in anyone else or whatever. Just even though it probably was someone else's fault, they've just gone, whatever. Let's get back to the workshop. Let's build another car, and we'll see you in Bunbury. So shout out to Priolo, and I believe he's got the Kostecki boys there. Is it Sprint Engineering? The sponsorship that he's got there from the Kostecki boys. Do you know what it is? Sprint.
No, not sure.
2 secs, 2. I'll quickly bring it up because I don't want to not stuff it up. If someone's good enough to sponsor someone in their sprint cars, the least we can do is get the name right. So we'll bring it up. Do you know what his Instagram handle is?
AP Motorsport.
AP Motorsport. Here we go. So he mentioned it as well, and how appreciative he is of all the things that I do. So I'll just give a shout out. So it's Sprint Material Processing, and I believe it's Brody and one of his brothers there, the Kosteckis, that help him out, and they might have to dig a bit deeper to fix some of this damage. But so well done to them, and they sponsor him. And who have you got for the pump up?
I've got AP as well. He's shown plenty of speed at the end of the nights in the last couple of shows, but this time he's actually he got qualifying good, made the dash. His night looked like he was piecing together a whole night, and unfortunately he's just been caught up in someone else's mess and done a heap of damage. I was at the shock shop this morning, and he had there's a box there from AP, and they're all bent and twisted, and so Buzz will get them fixed up this week for him and ready to go for Bunbury.
Yep, and so that's just while we're there. So that's Kim Buswell's shock shop there. If you need any parts or anything like that, obviously one of the best in the business, and by yourself, Chad Armstrong tuned. So they got it in Monday morning straight, bang. They're trying to get back.
Yeah. So we'll get. Did we fix Brooke Newson's ones this morning? So I just could normally go in there before work and after work. So we got her ones sorted this morning. We'll get AP's ones done tomorrow morning, and because Buzz is obviously off to Adelaide on Wednesday with James, so I'll do some over the weekend as well.
Perfect. So there you have it. Motorsport Jesus, hardest working man in Speedway. Get your shocks down to the shock shop. So Buzzy, if you want to throw a few coin at the podcast, mate, hit me up and we'll sort something out. Last little segment that we have here for the weekend is the TPE Group Standout Performer. So shout out to Chris Clark and the boys at TPE Group. Help us out. They give us a little office here in a studio. If they deal with Stark Varg, so if you're in the dirt bike market, get down and have a chat with Chris Clark at the Speedway. He'll sort you out with a Stark, and Motorsport Jesus will tune the Stark up and get you out there winning races. But this week, my standout performer is Michael Keane. He won on the Friday, really, really fast. Like I said, I watched him from the infield. Him and Joe Ettridge went hammer and tong at it, and then Michael sort of pulled away from him, but that's his 5th King of the Wings Limited win in a row, and that's just a huge effort. The amount of stuff that can go wrong in a sprint car race, that can go wrong with a sprint car, that's just not Michael winning the race. That's the crew Monday to Friday putting that car together, making sure it's Mickey Mouse in between heat races, making sure it's fine. Like, that's 5 in a row. He's a massive team effort, and the Keane racing team there, I know his brother spins some tools on it for him and stuff like that, and Daniel, I'm not sure who else, but it's a huge effort for them to get it done, and it's just indicative of what Speedway seems to be like. I was watching So Mad Dash between the limiteds and the 410s and his crew throughout the night. They've got the 410 there ready. The limiteds finished. He jumps out the limited straight into the 410. But to go from winning the limited King of Wings, jump straight out of that car, and then I think he was involved in 4 incidents in the 410 before he had to actually retire the car. It was pretty filthy in the interview and probably fair enough, but yeah, I thought an awesome effort, and he'll obviously go for 6 next year. But yeah, Michael Keane, well done, mate.
Yeah, definitely he did a good night. You know, it's not easy to run 2 nights back to back, but let alone run 2 cars on the second night. Yeah, he was the limo feature. He won. I think Jai McKenzie was probably unlucky. He had that thing, sort of out in front. But then obviously, you got to be lucky as well, and he didn't have any of that. So then Michael won that. And then, obviously they got caught up in a few incidents, and the team were working pretty hard in the work area. And yes, I've seen Tommy Britton. He jumped in. He doesn't mind a bit of camera time in the work area.
Better look at me.
Yeah, that's Tommy. So who I've got for the standout performer is Dayne Kingshott again. I feel like I'm recycling, but he just put on that. He sort of again was just consistent all night. Started 6, moved to the front. Cal Willow passed him sort of not far from the end, and I thought that was sort of going to be it. And then Brad Mayall, I think, passed both of them. And then it was, not long to go before the end. He just, found something again and got past all of them. And, that whole team is just locked in at the moment. They all know what they've got to do. It's so cool to see a team like that work together. They're always at the car wash after the meeting. Most people would be there, celebrating, but they're already eyes focused forward to Adelaide. Pretty sure they prepped on Sunday, and most teams would have rolled out today, and they would have been the same rollout early this morning. And he's the standout performer.
Yeah, well, he actually won that feature race in the end quite easily by 3.2 seconds.
Yeah,
like that. It was a long. I know what you mean, because they swapped and started, and I thought, Brad Viola, he's gone. Yeah. He's going to win this. Then Kingshott got him, and I'm like, there he goes. And then Callum Williamson come from nowhere, and then all of a sudden he's winning, and you thought, well, that's it. And then it just chopped and changed. And yeah, it's weird for such a tight race with so many leads for someone to end up winning easily. It's quite odd, but once that thing took rubber, he was gone. And then you see the tyres at the end.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with Dayne as well. Like, he probably would have had a lot of tyre left in that middle part of the race. He would have been trying to save a bit of tyre for that end, and which just proved that he didn't have a lot of it left, but it was enough to be able to check out for that last, I would say, 5 or so laps.
Yeah. No, he was, like, again, I feel like I'm a little bit of a fanboy, and I don't want to keep talking about it too much, but yeah, those boys are just so fast. Him and Williamson, I think they're just a class above it at this stage, and I think it's probably between them two to win most of the races, and the rest of the boys might have to raffle off the last podium. And Chris Coyle keeps on throwing his hand up. I think he's going to fill that thing up a little bit more. So moving on to our final little segment here, we got Regan Smith's The Knife Merchant. Now you can jump online, buy whatever knives you want online. He packs them. If you were to jump online at 7:30 now Monday night, he would have them posted to you tomorrow morning. I know he works all night at it, and yeah, awesome stuff. Victory Knox, like top of the Wazza type knives, full sets, whatever you need. Jump online and get it. We'll just get through this last segment. This is the Knife Merchant Slice and Dice, sponsored by the Knife Merchant. A cut above, premium quality knives for fishing, camping, kitchen, butchering, and outdoor lifestyle. Not sure what's going on there. I was meant to fix that. I had music. I don't know I had some cool free music attached to that, but it's gone somewhere. But this is a Knife Merchant Slice and Dice, mate. So the first question is who bounces back? Obviously, the next race is in Bunbury, the LJM Grand Prix. For me, who bounces back? I feel like Daniel Harding has to bounce back. He's got to get one. He was moving forward in that feature race as well before he cut down a tyre. Trevor Jolly and the team, their luck's got to turn. For me, that's who I'm putting money on to bounce back. I think he's going to go real well at Bunbury. Yeah, it's got to turn at some point. I know he's normally pretty quick around Bunbury. He nearly won a Cricky Boys there, or it would have been the last Cricky Boys there, and blew a tyre coming to the finish. I think he still finished second, but then obviously they couldn't get the car on the scale because they had no tyre on it, so he went underweight.
So, yeah, that's the one. Chris Coyle one.
Yeah, okay.
So, but yeah, he's always been thereabouts at Bunbury. So I think, yeah, it's probably not a bad pick.
So the bull ring down there in Bunbury, my next one, quick time. I'm going to go, for me, quick time, Brad Mayolo. I reckon the call boys, Jono's got those cars singing at quick time, home track, their race. Brad's been a little bit quicker than Jamie, even though Jamie's only, I think it was like 0.03 of a second off him in quick time. But Brad has been driving real well. So Brad Mayolo to get quick time at the home race, that's who my money's on.
Yeah, that's another good pick. So for who I've got for bounces back, I've got AP. I think he will. Yeah, he's always been pretty good at Bunbury, and he nearly won last year and in this same event, but he got beat by Brad. I think it was only a couple to go. Brad got him.
Yep.
So, and then who I've got for quick time, I think Dayne Kingshott.
Yeah, it's a good bet.
Yeah, it's home track, and he's again another one that's always good there, and he doesn't have to travel up the highway to get there, so plenty more rest.
Yeah, so the start of the season was sort of a raffle, but the more we get into the season, the field sort of like from 8 to 10 type winners. We're only 3 rounds in, and it just looks like Williamson and Kingshott are the class of the field. And yeah, it could get a little bit boring because they do seem to be a little bit faster than everyone else at this stage of the year. But there's no mugs in the rest of the field. The crew chiefs and the drivers of the rest, no doubt they're going to be in that shed. They're spending extra time. They're going to be putting in extra hours. They're going to try and catch them boys up, and they'll close that gap towards the end of the season. So LJM, the Grand Prix there in Bunbury, it's going to throw a little bit of a spanner in the works. Different track. Maybe it mixes up the results a little bit, but off the front row, I'm going to go Brad Mayolo and Chris Coyle, and I think Brad Mayolo wins the home race. That's my money. So Brad Mayolo, Chris Coyle off the front row, and they win. And I only say that the bull ring down at Bunbury is a pretty wild track. I don't think there's going to be a whole heap of finishes. There might be some bad luck, and yeah, I don't want to just keep saying Kingshott and Williamson off the front row.
Yeah. I think Brad's a good pick. I probably got him on the front row as well. And I reckon he'll be on the front row with probably either AP. Yeah, I'm going to go AP.
Yep, so those boys going again.
Yeah, back him in.
Yeah, okay. And who wins?
I'd love to say AP, so yeah, AP.
Come on, Priolo. Get that big number 8 up there, mate. With the boys here from the Work Area Podcast, we're right behind you. Get that thing going. All right, so from here, championship prediction. So the Magnum Toyota Sprint Car Series champion, I think we both will be pretty similar. And at this stage, it's hard to say it's not going to be Dayne Kingshott.
Yeah, that's who I've got. I think you were saying that they're tied on points at the moment.
Yeah, so when I'll just go through the points here. I'll just bring it back up. The points, if this Speed Hive app is right, on top points, it's Callum Williamson and Dayne Kingshott tied on 60 points. Kate Amanda's on 54. I don't know if that's right or not, if that's just off on the weekend gone. So, but regardless of that, even if that's not correct, there won't be too much between them. Like they'll be neck and neck for most of the season.
Yeah, I definitely think obviously Dayne's the favourite at the moment. It just all comes down to when the big boys come here, they're still point races. So it's they're probably, no disrespect to them, they're probably not going to be battling for easy wins like they're getting now, but it's whoever can pull a 5th or a 6th, not a 10th when the other guys get here. That's where the sort of championships comes down to that's where you either make or break your year when you're racing different guys in different times of the year.
Yeah, well, just they're all going to be up there and be mixing it up, but yeah, it's just how many people are in between them, because at this stage they're 1 and 2, and they'll probably raffle that off for most of the season. But once the high limits and all that sort of stuff come to town, then they'll too many CBD rum and colas for me. Sorry, listeners, but yeah, it's just how many cars are in between them effectively. There's not going to be many, but come through the rest of the season, Ryan Newton had an off night in the Monty Motorsports car. But so he split them in the second round there. It'll just be how many cars split them. But they're so close. It'll be pretty close. I think both of them are going to be extremely competitive throughout the whole thing. Like Callum last year was going head-to-head with Rico and Brad. Sweet, but...
And then, yeah, it sounds silly, but it also comes down to obviously the crew. But I know it was when Williamsons were working out of here, they were sort of in with a sniff of the championship, but then Carl Willow crashed in Bunbury, and then the tow truck didn't bring him to the work area quick enough. So then all it was a tyre. DNF'd the feature because he couldn't get the tyre done because obviously the work area had restricted times. But that can make or break your championship if you can't get something fixed in the work area and you get back out and run 16th or you cop a DNF.
Yeah, I think just with that, this is the most, particularly after watching those two heat races with both Callum and Dayne, it's the most confident I've been. Like usually you do think overcome speed week or whatever, like our guys will be like fifth or something, but this is the most confident I've been that both those two lads will be right there mixing it up. Like they just seem to be gone to a different level this year, and I'm really excited to see how they mix it up. One this weekend at the Napa 500, and even Kate Amanda's, mate, he's always right thereabouts. It just seems to be the last half of a feature race. He sort of, I don't it goes backwards or anything. I don't want to say anything like that, but he'll get faster, no doubt, moving forward in the last half of a feature race, and then mix it up because he always is in the 2 or 3 rows from the front. So he goes good, but yeah, hopefully all them boys get a real good nudge this weekend at that Napa 500 and show the rest of the country that they're top tier and their teams are top tier and they're quality drivers, and give this Napa 500 a big crack and hopefully bring some cash back. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's always good to compare yourself to the rest of the country, and this is another one of those events where you can. Obviously, the track's going to be nothing like they'll race on at any other point, but it's, again, they want to win on, doesn't matter what they're racing on, they want to win.
Yeah, well, that's what I see all these people sucking, and I know that track could be better, but these boys are going to be going at hammer and tong anyway, so
yeah,
awesome. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, it's better than not having it at all, so you sort of got to be happy with what they're doing, you know what I mean? Like they don't have to put on a speedway event.
Well, these teams don't even have to go.
Yeah.
Like they could easily stay home. Like financially it'd be a way better decision. They got championships to win, they want things here, but it's a showcase for the sport and it's a showcase for themselves. And yeah, I don't want to see that negativity online and in the speedway forums and stuff like that. Who cares? Let's judge it afterwards. And at the end of the day, even if it is a shit show, there's blokes out there racing for one of the biggest paydays that they've ever raced for. So that's only a good thing. That means crew chiefs are getting paid. That means our guys are getting paid. Car owners are getting a little bit of money back in their pocket. Like, yeah, it's only a good thing, and there'll be things that they can improve on, I'm sure, in terms of the event. But
yeah, it's only going to rise the sport.
Yeah.
You're in front of bigger corporations, and you know what I mean. Like, yeah, it's only going to, like, those guys can probably pick up sponsorships from being there and pick up new fans who are going to buy merch,
sell more shirts. Yeah, so it's all good things. So yeah, so thanks for listening. That was episode 4 of the work area. We'll be moving forward. I've got some things in the pipeline I'm pretty excited about. We've got some high quality driver interviews, some big names of the sport coming in. I've got a couple of more crew chiefs lined up. Obviously, we'll continue with our race reviews and previews, but moving forward, I've got some things I'm really excited about in terms of like more long form interviews. So if you listen to like the Brody Moller podcast and you like that, then strap yourself in. We've got some awesome drivers coming up that are coming in and people in here to do with the sport. So try and get some in-depth stuff, and yeah, hopefully we're all about it. But the social media's been good. I appreciate everyone that's been jumping on and flicking me a message. Keep it up. Yeah, it gives us a bit of a buzz in here, and we share it around with all the lads that do have involvement in the podcast. So if not, that's the work area done, and we'll see you next week at the track. Thank you.
I just got 3 things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And